They left her to die in the storm. Not an accident, a choice. While her pack huddled in warmth and safety, Mara Voss was locked out, thrown into the killing cold with nothing but spite and a cabin that couldn't keep out the wind. They called her weak, useless, a burden not worth saving. But when 15 dying wolves clawed at her door in the darkest hours, she made a decision that would shatter everything they believed about strength. Stay with me until the end of this story. You won't believe what happens next. Drop a comment with your city and let me know you're watching. The wind didn't howl, it screamed. Mara Voss pressed her shoulder against the cabin door, feeling it rattle in its frame like something alive was trying to get in. Snow forced itself through gaps she couldn't see, dusting the floor in white that melted into dark puddles. The cold wasn't just outside anymore. It was inside her bones, a living thing that made her fingers clumsy and her thoughts slow. She'd been here 3 hours, maybe 4. Time moved differently when you were waiting to die. The cabin was older than anyone could remember, walls made of logs that had been patched and repatched until they were more mud than wood, a roof that sagged in the middle like a broken back, windows so thick with grime and ice you couldn't see through them even in daylight. Not that there was any daylight now. The storm had turned 3 in the afternoon into midnight. Mara's fire was dying. She had maybe an hour of wood left, stacked in a crooked pile by the stone hearth that didn't draw properly and filled the room with smoke half the time. After that, she had nothing. The main lodge had the real firewood, cords and cords of it, split and stacked and dry. Enough to last the whole pack through a month of storms. But Mara wasn't allowed in the main lodge anymore. She wrapped her arms around herself, thin wool coat doing almost nothing against the cold. Her breath came out in clouds. She could see them in the orange glow of the fire, little ghosts that disappeared as soon as they formed. The pack had made their decision that morning. She could still hear Torin's voice, cold and flat as river ice. "We can't afford dead weight. Not through this storm." Dead weight. That's what she was. That's what she'd always been, according to them. Too small, too slow, too human. Never shifted properly, never showed the strength that mattered in a pack like theirs. In the northern territories, where winter came early and stayed late, where food was scarce and predators were everywhere, weakness was a death sentence. So they'd sentenced her. "Take what you can carry," Torin had said, not even looking at her. "The old Brennan cabin still stands. You'll shelter there until the storm passes." He knew. They all knew. The Brennan cabin was a rotting shell. It wouldn't keep anyone alive through a storm like this, the kind that came once every 20 years and killed anything caught outside. The weather wardens had been warning about it for days. Supernatural cold, winds strong enough to snap trees, snow measured in feet, not inches. The strong were already inside the main lodge. Fires roaring, food stores opened, families pressed together in safety. Mara was here. She fed another piece of wood to the fire, watching sparks spiral up toward the broken chimney. The wood was damp. Everything in this place was damp, and it hissed and popped as it burned. She'd tried to ration it, burning only what she absolutely needed, but the cold didn't care about rationing. It was relentless. Her supplies were spread on the table, half a loaf of bread already going stale, a wedge of hard cheese, 2 apples with soft spots, a canteen of water that would freeze solid by morning. She had 1 blanket that smelled like mildew and a sleeping roll so thin she could feel every board beneath it. This was what they'd given her. This was what her life was worth. Mara sat on the floor close to the fire and pulled her knees to her chest. She was 22 years old. She should have been stronger by now, fiercer, more wolf than human. That's what everyone expected in the frontier packs. By 22, you were supposed to be able to hunt, to fight, to shift at will and run with the pack under the moon. Mara could barely shift at all. And when she did, it hurt. Her bones twisted wrong, her muscles seized, and she came out of it shaking and sick while everyone else made it look easy as breathing. So they'd stopped expecting anything from her, and then they'd stopped seeing her at all. "You're not one of us," her own mother had said once, voice empty of anything resembling love. "I don't know what you are." Mara used to cry about it, used to beg for a chance to prove herself, to show them she could be useful even if she was different. But begging never changed anything. It just made them look at her with something worse than anger. Pity. She wasn't going to beg anymore. The wind hit the cabin so hard the whole structure shuddered. Snow blasted against the walls with a sound like 1,000 claws scratching. Mara flinched, then hated herself for flinching. She shoved another stick into the fire, even though it was too soon, even though she was burning through her supply too fast. Fear did that. Made you stupid. She thought about the main lodge, warm, bright, full of voices and bodies pressed close. Torin would be there, holding court like he always did, broad-shouldered and smug. Dessa, too, his enforcer, the one who'd personally escorted Mara out into the snow and locked the gate behind her. Nothing personal, Dessa had said with a smile that said it was absolutely personal. Survival of the fittest. Mara wondered if they were thinking about her now. Probably not. She'd been invisible for so long that her absence wouldn't even register. Maybe that was better. The fire popped, sending embers onto the floor. Mara crushed them under her boot before they could catch. The boards were old and dry. One spark in the wrong place and this whole cabin would go up. That would be ironic. Freeze or burn. Great options. She was reaching for another piece of wood when she heard it. Scratching. Faint at first, almost lost under the wind. Then louder. Deliberate. Something was at the door. Mara froze, hand halfway to the woodpile. Her heart kicked hard against her ribs. The scratching came again. Not wind, not branches, claws on wood. "Hello?" Her voice came out rough, barely audible. No answer. Just more scratching, frantic now. Mara stood slowly, every instinct screaming at her to stay put, to ignore it. Nothing good was outside in this storm. Bears didn't move in weather like this. Neither did mountain cats. Anything out there was either dying or dangerous. And either way, it wasn't her problem. But the scratching didn't stop. It sounded desperate. Mara crossed to the door, boots loud on the creaking floor. She pressed her ear to the wood. The scratching was right there, inches away. And beneath it, something else. Whining. A wolf. Mara's breath caught. A wolf alone in this storm was as good as dead, maybe already dead, just didn't know it yet. She put her hand on the door handle. Don't be stupid. You open that door, you let the cold in. You let whatever's out there in. You've got barely enough heat for yourself. But the whining was so thin, so broken. Mara thought about the main lodge, warm and safe and full of people who'd decided she wasn't worth saving. She thought about Torin's face when he'd sent her out here. Not angry, just indifferent. She thought about being invisible. Her hand tightened on the handle. Screw it. She yanked the door open. The storm hit her like a fist, wind so cold it burned, snow so thick she couldn't see 3 feet. But she could see what was at her door. A wolf. Huge, dark-furred, collapsed on its side in the snow. Ice crusted its muzzle. Its eyes were half open, glazed. "Oh no," Mara breathed. She crouched down, mittened hands hovering over the wolf's body. It was breathing, but barely. Ribs showing through its fur, paws cracked and bleeding. This wasn't just cold. This was starvation. Exhaustion. This wolf had been running for days. Mara looked past it into the storm, squinting against the wind. There were more. Shapes in the snow, dark forms barely visible. She counted 5. No, 7. No. 15. 15 wolves scattered in the snow around her cabin, some moving weakly, most not moving at all. "What the hell?" Mara whispered. The wolf at her feet whined again, a sound so pitiful it broke something in her chest. She should close the door, she should let them die. She had nothing to give them, no way to save them. She could barely save herself. But she didn't close the door. "Okay," she said, to herself or the wolves or the storm, she didn't know. "Okay, come on." She grabbed the first wolf under its front legs and dragged. It was dead weight, heavier than she'd expected. Her boots slipped on the icy boards. She hauled it inside inch by inch, muscles screaming. The cabin wasn't big, maybe 12 feet by 12. The wolf took up a quarter of the floor space immediately. Mara looked at the other 14 still outside. "This is insane," she said out loud. Then she went back out into the storm. One by one, she dragged them in. Some were conscious enough to help, limping on frozen paws. Others she had to pull completely. By the time she got the 5th one inside, she couldn't feel her hands. By the 10th, her coat was soaked through and her teeth were chattering so hard she bit her tongue. She didn't stop. The last wolf was the biggest, a massive male with fur so dark it looked black, even covered in snow. He was too heavy, Mara tried to lift him and her legs nearly buckled. "Come on," she gasped, pulling harder. "You don't get to die on my doorstep. Move." The wolf's eyes cracked open. Gold, bright even in the dark. For a second they stared at each other. Then the wolf shifted its weight, just barely, just enough. Mara pulled. They made it inside together. She slammed the door and leaned against it, panting. The cabin was packed with bodies now, wolves everywhere, pressed against each other, against the walls, around the fire. The temperature had already dropped 10 degrees from the door being open so long. Mara's fire was down to coals. She looked at her woodpile. 6 pieces left. Maybe. 15 wolves. One tiny fire. Not enough heat, not enough food, not enough anything. "You just killed yourself," a voice in her head said, calm and certain. "They'll be dead by morning, and so will you." Mara peeled off her wet coat with numb fingers. She was shaking violently now, cold sunk so deep it felt like she'd never be warm again. The wolves watched her. Those that could still lift their heads, their eyes reflected the firelight, gold, amber, green, watching, waiting, for her to save them or to die trying. Mara fed the last 6 pieces of wood to the fire. They caught slowly, reluctantly. Heat spread out in a weak circle that didn't reach the corners of the room. It wasn't enough. She looked around at the wolves. They were so still. Too still. She could see their ribs, see the frost in their fur, see the way their eyes were going dull. They need more than heat, she thought. They need food. She looked at her supplies on the table. Half a loaf of bread, cheese, 2 apples. Enough for her to survive maybe 3 days if she rationed, or enough to give 15 dying wolves one small chance. Mara picked up the bread. Her hands were shaking. Not from cold this time. She tore off a piece and held it out to the nearest wolf, a female with gray fur matted with ice. The wolf didn't move. "Come on," Mara whispered. "Please." She pressed the bread to the wolf's muzzle. Nothing. Then, slowly, a tongue licked out. Took the bread. Chewed. Swallowed. Mara's eyes burned. She tore off another piece, fed another wolf, then another. The bread went fast. She broke the cheese into chunks, fed that too. The apples she cut with her knife, passing pieces from wolf to wolf. It wasn't enough to fill them, wasn't even close. But it was something. When the food was gone, Mara sat back. The fire was dying again. She had nothing left to burn. Except. She looked at the table. Old wood, dry and splintered. She looked at the 2 chairs, rickety and half-broken. Furniture or life, she thought. She grabbed the first chair and smashed it against the floor. It broke into pieces. She fed them to the fire. Heat bloomed. The second chair followed. Then the table, broken apart board by board. Each piece bought them another few minutes of warmth. When the furniture was gone, Mara pulled down the curtains, rotted fabric that wouldn't last long but would burn. She tore apart the sleeping roll, stuffing that in too. She burned everything that wasn't essential. And when there was nothing left to burn, she lay down among the wolves. They were warmer than she expected. Even half-frozen, their bodies put out heat. She pressed close to the big dark wolf, the last one she'd dragged in. He was unconscious, but breathing steadily now. She put her head on his shoulder and felt his heartbeat, slow and strong. Around her, the other wolves shifted closer, piling on top of each other, pressing together in a mass of fur and warmth, making space for her in the middle. She should have been afraid. These were wolves, predators. She was human, fragile, alone. But she wasn't afraid. "We're going to make it," she whispered into the dark wolf's fur. "All of us. I don't know how, but we will." The wolf's ear flicked. Mara closed her eyes. The storm screamed outside. The fire burned down to nothing. The cold pressed in from every side. But in the center of that broken cabin, 15 wolves and 1 stubborn girl breathed together. And somehow, against everything, they were still alive. Dawn came slow and gray. Mara woke to silence. No wind. No storm. Just quiet. She opened her eyes and found herself buried under wolves. They'd piled on top of her during the night, a living blanket. She could barely move, but she was warm. She lifted her head carefully. The fire was out, nothing but cold ash in the hearth. The cabin was a disaster. Broken furniture, torn fabric, muddy paw prints everywhere. And 15 wolves, all breathing. Mara counted them twice to be sure. 15, every single one. "We made it," she said out loud, voice cracking. The dark wolf beneath her head stirred, his eyes opened, gold and sharp and very, very aware. He looked at her for a long moment, then he stood up. Mara scrambled back as the wolf rose to his full height. He was enormous, bigger than any wolf she'd ever seen, bigger than most pack members in their shifted forms. His fur was midnight black, his eyes like molten gold. He shouldn't have been able to stand. He'd been half dead 12 hours ago. But he was standing now, tall and steady, and looking at her like he was seeing straight through her skin into her bones. The other wolves were waking up too, getting to their feet one by one. They filled the cabin, crowding every inch of space, all of them looking at her. Mara's heart hammered. This was it. The moment they realized she was human, weak, prey. The dark wolf stepped forward. Mara held her ground. If they were going to kill her after everything, she wasn't going to make it easy. But the wolf didn't attack. He lowered his head, slowly, deliberately. A bow. And one by one, every other wolf in the cabin did the same. Mara stared. What? The dark wolf began to shift. Mara had seen shifts her whole life. They were violent, chaotic, bones cracking and reshaping in seconds. Painful for her, easy for everyone else. This wasn't like that. This was controlled. Smooth. The wolf's form blurred and stretched, fur receding, limbs lengthening until a man stood where the wolf had been. And not just any man. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with broad shoulders and a presence that filled the small cabin like a storm. His hair was black and longer than was practical, his face all sharp angles and hard lines. Scars marked his skin, old ones, the kind you got from surviving things that should have killed you. His eyes were still gold, still burning with that unnerving intensity. He was also completely naked, but he didn't seem to care. Mara did care. She looked away fast, face burning. "You saved us," the man said. His voice was deep, rough from disuse. "Why?" Mara kept her eyes on the floor. You were dying. So were you." It wasn't a question. She didn't answer. The man was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Look at me." It wasn't a request. Mara looked up, still carefully not looking anywhere below his shoulders. His expression was unreadable. "What's your name?" "Mara. Mara Voss." "Where's your pack, Mara Voss?" She laughed. It came out bitter. "They're about 3 miles that way, safe and warm in the main lodge." Understanding flickered across his face. "They left you." "Dead weight," Mara said. "That's what they called me. Can't waste resources on someone who can't pull their own weight." "But you wasted yours on us." "I didn't waste anything," Mara said, sharper than she meant to. "You're alive, aren't you?" Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. "Yes," he said quietly. "We are." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His hand touched her shoulder, warm and steady. "My name is Ronan Kael," he said. "And you, Mara Voss, just saved the life of the Northern Alpha." Mara's brain stuttered to a halt. "What?" "The Northern Alpha," he repeated. "Me, my pack." He gestured to the other wolves, many of whom were shifting now into human forms. Men and women, all of them strong and scarred and looking at her like she'd done something impossible. "We were ambushed 4 days ago, poisoned, scattered. We've been running ever since." Mara's mouth opened, closed. The Northern Alpha. Everyone knew that name. Ronan Kael, the most powerful pack leader in 5 territories. The wolf who'd united the frontier packs, who'd fought off 3 separate invasions, who commanded loyalty from dozens of packs and fear from everyone else. And she'd just dragged him through the snow like a sack of potatoes. "Oh," Mara said faintly. Ronan's hand was still on her shoulder. "You gave us everything you had, burned your shelter to keep us warm, fed us your food, risked your life in that storm." His grip tightened slightly. "Why?" Mara met his eyes, gold and fierce and waiting. "Because no one should die alone in the cold," she said. "Not even wolves." Ronan stared at her. Then for the first time he smiled. It changed his whole face. "No," he agreed. "They shouldn't." He let go of her shoulder and turned to his pack. They were all watching, all listening. "We owe this woman a debt," Ronan said, voice carrying despite the small space. "She chose mercy when her own pack chose cruelty. She gave everything when she had nothing. That kind of strength," he looked back at Mara, "is rarer than power. Rarer than anything." One of the pack members, a woman with short red hair and a scar across her cheek, stepped forward. "What do you want us to do, Alpha?" Ronan didn't take his eyes off Mara. "First," he said, "we get her somewhere safe, somewhere warm. Then," his smile went sharp, "we have a conversation with the pack that left her to die." Mara's pulse jumped. "You don't have to—" "Yes," Ronan said, "I do." And from the look in his eyes, Mara believed him. The walk back to the main lodge took 2 hours. It should have taken 30 minutes, but Ronan's pack was still weak. They moved slowly, stopping often to rest. Mara walked in the middle of the group, surrounded by wolves in both human and shifted forms. She felt small next to them. These were frontier wolves built for survival, all muscle and scars and cold eyes that had seen too much. And they kept looking at her, not with the contempt she was used to, not with pity or disgust or that blank indifference that said she wasn't worth acknowledging. They looked at her like she was something new, something they hadn't figured out yet. It made her skin itch. Ronan walked ahead, fully dressed now in clothes his second-in-command had carried in a pack. Dark pants, heavy boots, a coat that looked like it had been through several wars. He moved like someone used to being followed. Confident, certain. Mara wasn't used to either of those things. "How far?" Ronan asked without turning around. "Another mile," Mara said. "Maybe less. The lodge is in the valley, near the river." "Big place?" "Big enough." She watched her breath fog in the cold air. The storm had passed, but the temperature hadn't risen. Everything was frozen solid. Trees, ground, even the air felt brittle. "Holds about 60 people when everyone's packed in." 60. Ronan glanced back at her. "And they couldn't spare room for one more." Mara's jaw tightened. "I told you. Dead weight." "You keep saying that like it's true." "It is true." The words came out harder than she meant. "I can't hunt like they can. Can't fight. Can barely shift without feeling like my bones are breaking. I'm weak. That's reality." Ronan stopped walking. The whole group stopped with him. He turned to face her fully, gold eyes sharp in the morning light. "You dragged 15 wolves out of a killing storm. You burned everything you had to keep us alive. You chose to save strangers when your own pack left you to die." He stepped closer. "That's not weakness, Mara. That's strength they're too stupid to recognize." Mara opened her mouth, closed it. She didn't know what to say to that. The red-haired woman, Ronan had called her Kira, snorted. "He's right. Your pack sounds like idiots." "They're survivors," Mara said automatically. "It's how frontier packs work. The strong protect each other. The weak get left behind," Ronan finished. His expression darkened. "I've heard that philosophy before, usually from packs that don't last long. We've lasted 2 generations. And how many people have you lost in that time?" Ronan asked quietly. "How many got thrown out because they weren't strong enough? How many died alone because no one thought they were worth saving?" Mara didn't answer. She didn't have to. Ronan held her gaze for another moment, then turned and kept walking. "Let's go. I want to meet this pack of yours." Mara's stomach twisted. She followed anyway. The main lodge came into view as they crested the last ridge, a sprawling structure of stone and timber, smoke rising from 3 chimneys, windows bright with firelight. It looked warm, safe, everything Mara had been denied. She felt anger rise in her chest, hot and unexpected. "That's it?" Kira asked. "That's it," Mara said. Ronan studied the building, eyes narrowing. "Gates are closed, guards posted. They're nervous about something." "Probably the storm," Mara said. "Or maybe they heard about your ambush. News travels fast out here." "Everything travels fast when you're scared." Ronan glanced at her. "Are you scared?" Mara thought about it. She should be. She was about to walk back into the place that had cast her out, surrounded by the most powerful wolves in the north. Her pack was going to lose their minds, but scared wasn't what she felt. "No," she said. "I'm angry." Ronan smiled. "Good. Use that." They walked down the ridge together. As they got closer, Mara could see the guards more clearly, two of them at the gate, both in human form, both armed with hunting rifles. Frontier packs didn't rely on claws and teeth alone. Not when there were things in these mountains that were bigger and meaner than any wolf. One of the guards saw them coming and raised his rifle. "That's close enough." Ronan kept walking. "I said stop." The guard's voice cracked. He was young, maybe 19. Mara didn't know his name. He was new, probably just earned his place in the pack last summer. "Lower your weapon," Ronan said calmly. "We're not here to fight." "Who the hell are you?" "My name is Ronan Kale." The rifle barrel dipped, just slightly. The guard's face went pale. "The Northern Alpha?" "That's right." The second guard, older, scarred, smarter, grabbed the younger one's arm. "Get Torin, now!" The young guard ran. Ronan stopped about 20 feet from the gate, close enough to talk, far enough to move if things went bad. His pack spread out behind him, a loose formation that looked casual, but wasn't. Mara recognized a fighting stance when she saw one. She stayed close to Ronan, not hiding behind him, just close. "You should go inside," Ronan said quietly. "You don't need to be part of this." "Yes, I do," Mara said. He looked at her, nodded once. The lodge doors opened. Torin came out first, tall, broad, his graying hair pulled back in a knot that showed the scars on his scalp. He was in his 50s, but still strong, still dangerous. Pack leader for 12 years. He'd earned the position by killing the previous leader in a challenge fight. That's how it worked in frontier packs. You took power, or you took orders. Behind him came Dessa, his enforcer. She was younger, harder, with eyes like chips of flint. She'd been the one to lock Mara out in the storm. She'd smiled while doing it, and behind them came the rest of the pack. 60 people pouring out into the cold, crowding around the gate, all of them staring. Mara saw her mother in the crowd, saw her look away. That hurt more than it should have. Torin stopped at the gate. His eyes swept over Ronan's pack, counting, assessing. Then they landed on Mara. His expression didn't change, like she was a stranger, less than a stranger. "Alpha Kale," Torin said, ignoring her completely. "This is unexpected." "I'm sure it is," Ronan said. "I need to speak with you, privately." "About?" Ronan tilted his head toward Mara. "About her." Every eye in the pack turned to Mara. She felt their stares like physical weight, confusion, suspicion. In some faces, outright disgust. Torin's jaw tightened. "What about her?" "She saved my life," Ronan said simply. "And the lives of my entire pack. We were poisoned, ambushed, scattered in the storm. We would have died if she hadn't opened her door." Silence. Then Dessa laughed, sharp and ugly. "Her? She couldn't save herself. You expect us to believe she saved 15 wolves?" "I don't expect anything," Ronan said, voice cooling. "I'm telling you what happened. With respect, Alpha Kale, you don't know Mara." Torin stepped forward, hands loose at his sides, non-threatening, but his eyes were sharp. "She's troubled, unstable. She's been a burden on this pack for years." "A burden," Ronan repeated. "Dead weight," Dessa added. "We tried to help her, tried to train her, to make her useful, but she never shifted right, never pulled her share. We couldn't keep wasting resources." "So you threw her out," Ronan said, "into a killing storm." "We gave her shelter," Torin said. "The Brennan cabin. It's been used for—" "It's a death trap," Ronan cut him off. "You know it. Everyone here knows it. You sent her there to die." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Not agreement, just awareness. They all knew what the Brennan cabin was, what it meant. Torin's expression hardened. "We made a difficult choice, for the good of the pack. That's what leaders do." "Leaders protect their people," Ronan said. "All of them, not just the strong ones." "This is the frontier," Torin shot back. "We don't have the luxury of carrying the weak. Every mouth we feed, every body we shelter, that's one less chance of survival for everyone else. You know that. You've made the same choices." "Never like this," Ronan said quietly. "Never with someone who didn't deserve it." "And you think she deserves protection after one night?" Torin shook his head. "You don't know her, Alpha Kale. You don't know what she's cost us. Tell me then, Ronan said. Tell me what she cost you. Torin opened his mouth, closed it. He looked frustrated, like the answer should be obvious, but he couldn't quite put it into words. Dessa stepped in. She's slow, can't keep up on hunts. Her shifts are painful to watch. Half the time she doesn't complete them. She can't fight worth a damn. She takes up space, eats food, uses resources, and gives nothing back. She gave me everything she had, Ronan said. Last night. Every scrap of food, every piece of firewood, her shelter, her warmth, her safety. She gave it all to keep us alive. Because she's reckless, Dessa snapped. Because she doesn't think. She makes stupid choices and expects everyone else to clean up the mess. Saving lives is stupid now? When it gets you killed, yes. Ronan's eyes flashed gold. The air around him seemed to compress. Pack alpha power, raw and undeniable. Everyone felt it. Even Torin took a half step back. Maravos saved 15 lives last night, Ronan said, voice low and dangerous. 15 wolves who will go on to protect their families, their territories, their packs, because of her, because she chose mercy when she could have chosen survival. He looked at Torin, at Dessa, at every face in the crowd. What have any of you done that compares? Silence. No one answered. Ronan turned to Mara. Do you want to stay here? The question caught her off guard. What? With this pack, do you want to stay? Mara looked at the lodge, at the people she'd grown up with. Her mother wouldn't meet her eyes. Torin's face was stone. Dessa looked like she wanted to spit. No one looked like they wanted her back. No, Mara heard herself say. I don't. Then you're coming with us, Ronan said. Wait. Torin started forward. She's ours. Pack law. She's not yours, Ronan said flatly. You threw her out. You left her to die. That breaks every bond, every law, every oath that makes a pack. She doesn't belong to you anymore. He looked at Mara again. If she ever did. Mara's throat felt tight. She wanted to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. You can't just take her, Dessa said. We have rules, procedures. You can't just... I can, Ronan said, and I am. She's under my protection now. Anyone who has a problem with that, his smile was all teeth, can take it up with me directly. No one moved. Ronan held Torin's gaze for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. His pack followed. Mara stood frozen for a heartbeat, staring at the people who'd raised her, who'd decided she wasn't worth saving. Then she turned and followed Ronan. Behind her, she heard Dessa's voice, loud and angry. This isn't over. Mara didn't look back. They made camp 2 miles from the lodge in a clearing protected by tall pines. Ronan's pack moved with practiced efficiency. Fires built, shelters erected, perimeter secured. They worked together like parts of a machine, no wasted movement, no arguments. Mara sat on a log near the central fire and watched. She felt out of place, useless. Kira dropped down next to her, offering a metal cup. Water, you look like you need it. Mara took it. The water was cold, clean. She drank half the cup in one go. That was intense, Kira said. Which part? All of it. Kira stretched her legs toward the fire. Your pack's a piece of work. They're not my pack anymore, Mara said quietly. Good. They don't deserve you. Mara looked at her. Kira was maybe 30, built like someone who'd spent her life fighting. Scars marked her arms, her neck, one cutting through her eyebrow, but her eyes were kind. You don't know me, Mara said. I know you saved our Alpha's life, Kira said. I know you burned your own shelter to keep us warm. I know your pack threw you away and you're still standing. She shrugged. That's enough. I can't fight like you can. Can't hunt. I'll just slow you down. Maybe, Kira said. Or maybe you'll surprise us. Either way, you're here now. Might as well make the best of it. Ronan approached before Mara could respond. He'd changed into different clothes, still dark, still practical, but cleaner. He looked more like an alpha now, less like someone who'd nearly died 12 hours ago. Walk with me, he said to Mara. It wasn't a request. Mara stood and followed him away from the fire, into the trees. The snow was deep here, undisturbed. Their boots crunched loud in the quiet. "How are you feeling?" Ronan asked. "Confused," Mara said honestly. "I don't understand what just happened." "You left a bad situation." "I left the only pack I've ever known." "Pack is supposed to protect you," Ronan said, "not throw you to the wolves, literally." Despite everything, Mara almost smiled. Ronan stopped walking and turned to face her. "I meant what I said back there. You're under my protection now. That means you're part of my pack, if you want to be. No one will hurt you. No one will abandon you, not while I'm alive." Mara's chest felt tight. "Why? You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do," Ronan said. "You saved my life. You saved 15 lives. That's a debt I can't repay with words." "I didn't do it for a reward." "I know." His expression softened slightly. "That's why it matters." Mara looked down at the snow. "I'm not strong like your pack. I can't shift properly. I can't fight. I'll just be—" "If you say dead weight one more time, I'm going to lose my patience," Ronan said. "Strength isn't just teeth and claws, Mara. It's making the hard choices. Standing when everyone else runs. Choosing mercy when it would be easier to be cruel." He waited until she looked up. "You have more strength than most wolves I've met. You just don't see it yet." "My pack saw it," Mara said bitterly. "They saw exactly what I was." "Your pack was blind," Ronan said, "and stupid, and I'm going to make sure they regret what they did to you." Something in his tone made Mara's skin prickle. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing they don't deserve," Ronan said. "But first we need to get you somewhere safe, somewhere warm. My territory is 3 days north. We'll head there at first light." 3 days, Mara repeated. "In this weather. We've survived worse. You were poisoned. Your pack is still recovering, and you're going to march them 3 days through frozen wilderness?" Ronan smiled. "Worried about us?" "Yes," Mara said. "Obviously." "Don't be. We're tougher than we look." He started walking back toward camp. "Besides, we have you now. If we start dying, you'll just save us again." Mara followed, shaking her head. "That's not funny." "Wasn't trying to be." They emerged back into the clearing. The pack had settled in, some eating, some talking, some already asleep in shifted forms curled near the fires. It looked peaceful. Normal. Mara wondered what normal felt like. Kira waved her over. "Come eat. We've got stew." Mara's stomach growled. She couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten anything substantial. She sat down near the fire and accepted a bowl of stew, venison and root vegetables, thick and hot. It tasted better than anything she'd had in months. Around her, Ronan's pack talked and laughed. Someone told a joke. Someone else threw a chunk of bread at them. It was warm, comfortable, like a family. Mara ate slowly, watching, trying to figure out where she fit, or if she fit at all. Across the fire, Ronan caught her eye. He nodded once, like he knew what she was thinking, like he was saying it would be okay. Mara wasn't sure she believed him, but for the first time in a long time, she wanted to. The attack came just after midnight. Mara was asleep near the fire when the screaming started. She jerked awake, confused, heart hammering. Around her, wolves were shifting, snarling, moving toward the perimeter. Kira grabbed her arm. "Stay down." "What's happening?" "I don't—" An explosion of sound cut her off. Gunfire. Someone was shooting into the camp. Mara hit the ground as bullets tore through the clearing. She heard them impact trees, send snow spraying, heard someone scream. Then the wolves were moving. Ronan's pack didn't scatter. They formed up, a defensive line between the gunfire and the camp center, half in human form returning fire, half shifted and moving to flank. "Who is it?" Mara yelled over the noise. "Don't know!" Kira had a rifle now, firing toward the tree line. "Too dark!" But Mara knew. She knew before she saw them. Her pack poured out of the trees. 20 wolves, all shifted, all moving fast. Torin led them, massive in his wolf form, gray fur almost white in the darkness. They weren't here to talk. "It's them!" Mara screamed. "It's my pack!" Ronan shifted mid-run, black fur exploding from his skin. He was twice the size of any other wolf, all muscle and fury. He hit Torin head-on, and they went down in a tangle of teeth and claws. The clearing erupted into chaos. Wolves everywhere, fighting, biting, blood spraying dark on white snow. gunfire still echoing. Someone was shouting orders, someone else was crying. Mara scrambled backward, trying to get out of the way. She wasn't a fighter. She'd never been a fighter. A wolf broke through the line, young, lean, eyes wild with adrenaline. One of Torin's pack. He saw Mara and changed direction, coming right at her. Mara tried to shift, felt her bones start to crack, her skin start to burn. But it was too slow, too painful. She couldn't. Kira appeared from nowhere and tackled the wolf mid-leap. They hit the ground hard. Kira was faster, stronger. She had the wolf pinned in seconds, claws at its throat. "Don't move," she snarled. The wolf went still. Mara's shift collapsed. She gasped, pain radiating through her whole body. "You okay?" Kira called without looking away from her captive. "Yeah," Mara managed. "Thanks." "Stay behind me." More wolves were breaking through. Dessa was among them, shifted into a sleek brown form that moved like water. She went straight for Ronan, but Ronan was ready. He caught her in midair and slammed her into the ground. She yelped, tried to twist free. He pinned her with one massive paw and growled, a sound that made the hair on Mara's neck stand up. Dessa went limp. Submission. Around the clearing, the fight was turning. Ronan's pack was better trained, better coordinated. Even injured, even outnumbered, they were winning. Torin's pack started to retreat. Ronan let them go. He shifted back to human form, breathing hard, blood on his hands. Not his blood. "Cease fire!" he shouted. "Let them run!" The gunfire stopped. The fighting stopped. Torin's wolves disappeared into the trees, leaving their wounded behind. Dessa tried to crawl away. Ronan put a boot on her back. "Not you," he said. "You stay." Dessa shifted back to human, naked and shaking. "He'll come back for me." "Let him try," Ronan said. Kira hauled the young wolf over, still in shifted form, still terrified. "What do we do with this one?" "Tie him up," Ronan said. "We'll question them both." Mara stood slowly, legs shaking. The clearing was a mess, blood, bullet casings, broken branches. 2 of Ronan's pack were injured but alive, none dead. Torin's pack hadn't been so lucky. She could see bodies in the snow. 3, maybe 4. Her stomach turned. Ronan walked over to her. He was bleeding from a cut on his shoulder, but he didn't seem to notice. "You hurt?" Mara shook her head. "Good." He looked toward the trees where Torin had disappeared. "This isn't over. They'll regroup and come back." "Why?" Mara's voice cracked. "Why would they do this?" Ronan's expression was grim. "Because I took you, because that makes them look weak, and weak packs don't survive out here." He touched her shoulder gently. "This is my fault. I should have seen this coming." "It's not your fault," Mara said. "It's theirs. They chose this. And now people are dead because of it." Ronan looked tired suddenly. Older. "War is ugly, Mara, even when you're fighting for the right reasons." Kira approached with rope. "Where do you want the prisoners?" "Center of camp," Ronan said. "Keep them separated, and get someone to patch up our wounded." "Already done." "Good." Ronan turned back to Mara. "Get some rest. We're leaving at first light before they can organize another attack." "Where are we going?" "North, to my territory, where we can regroup." His jaw tightened. "And then we're going to the council. This ends one way or another." Mara watched him walk away, barking orders, organizing his pack. She looked at the prisoners, Dessa and the young wolf, tied and guarded. She looked at the bodies in the snow. And she realized something that made her chest ache. This was all because of her. Because she'd been worth saving. And her old pack couldn't accept that. Dawn came gray and cold. Mara hadn't slept. She'd sat by the fire, watching the prisoners, watching the perimeter, waiting for another attack that never came. Ronan's pack moved efficiently, breaking camp in near silence. The wounded were helped onto makeshift stretchers. The dead from Torin's pack were left where they fell, frontier justice. You attacked, you died, your pack could collect your body later. If they bothered. Dessa was hauled to her feet, hands tied behind her back. She glared at Ronan with pure hate. "He's going to kill you for this," she said. "He can try," Ronan replied calmly. "But first, you're going to answer some questions." "I'm not telling you anything." Yes, Ronan said. You are. He nodded to Kira. She grabbed Dessa's arm and dragged her toward the edge of camp. The young wolf was next. He was human now, barely 18, shaking from cold and fear. Mara recognized him, one of the newer pack members. He'd never spoken to her, never looked at her. Now he looked terrified. What's your name? Ronan asked him. Jesse. Jesse, you know who I am? Jesse nodded quickly. Then you know I could kill you right now, and no one would stop me. Ronan crouched down to eye level. But I'm not going to. You know why? Jesse shook his head. Because you're young, and you were following orders, and I think you're smart enough to realize you picked the wrong side. Ronan's voice was calm, almost kind. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me why Torin attacked us. You're going to tell me what he's planning next, and then I'm going to let you go. I can't. Yes, you can, Ronan said, or you can die out here. Your choice. Jesse's face crumpled. He said you stole Mara. He said you were trying to undermine his authority, make him look weak in front of the other packs. So he attacked, Ronan said, with 20 wolves, in the middle of the night. Jesse nodded miserably. What's his next move? I don't know, I swear. He doesn't tell us everything. Ronan studied him, then nodded. Okay, I believe you. He stood and cut Jesse's bonds with a knife. Go home. Tell Torin that if he comes after us again, I won't be merciful. Understand? Jesse scrambled to his feet. Yes, sir. Thank you. He shifted and ran. Mara watched him disappear into the trees. You think he'll actually deliver the message? Doesn't matter, Ronan said. Torin's going to do what he wants regardless. But now he knows we have his enforcer. As if on cue, Kira returned with Dessa. The woman looked roughed up, new bruises on her face, lips split, but she was still glaring. She talked, Kira said. And? Torin's planning to bring this to the council. Accuse you of poaching pack members, violating territorial agreements. He's going to demand they strip your title. Ronan's expression didn't change. Let him try. He's got allies, Dessa said, spitting blood. You think you're untouchable, but you're not. The council's tired of you throwing your weight around. This might be the excuse they need to take you down. Or it might be the excuse I need to expose Torin for what he really is, Ronan said. A coward who leaves his people to die. Dessa laughed bitterly. No one cares about her. She's nothing. She saved 15 lives, Ronan said quietly, including mine. That makes her worth more than your entire pack combined. Dessa's smile faded. Ronan turned to Kira. Bring her. She's coming to the council with us. As what? A hostage? As a witness, Ronan said. She's going to tell them exactly what Torin did. And if she doesn't, his smile was cold. I have other witnesses who will. He looked at Mara. She understood immediately. You want me to testify? If it comes to that, yes. They won't believe me, Mara said. Don't, Ronan cut her off. Don't say it. You're not weak. You're not worthless. And you're going to stand in front of that council and tell them the truth. His eyes burned gold. And I'm going to make sure they listen. Mara's throat felt tight. She wanted to argue, to say she couldn't do it, that she wasn't brave enough. But Ronan looked at her like he already knew she was, like it wasn't even a question. Okay, Mara said quietly. I'll do it. Ronan nodded. Good. Now, let's move. We've got a long way to go. The pack formed up and headed north. Mara walked in the middle again, surrounded by wolves who'd bled for her, who'd fought for her, who believed she was worth it. She still wasn't sure they were right, but she was starting to want to prove it. Behind them in the distance, she heard howling. Torin's pack, regrouping, planning their next move. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. And Mara had a feeling things were going to get a lot worse before they got better. But for the first time in her life, she wasn't facing it alone. She looked at Ronan's back as he led the pack north, and she followed. The northern route cut through the worst terrain Mara had ever seen. They'd been walking for 6 hours, and the landscape kept getting more hostile. Jagged rock faces that caught the wind and turned it into knives, ice fields so slick that every step was a gamble. forest so dense the snow sat heavy on branches and dropped in freezing clumps whenever someone brushed past. The temperature had dropped too. Mara's breath came out in white clouds that froze on her scarf. Ronan's pack moved in tight formation. The wounded were in the center, carried on stretchers made from pine branches and rope. Dessa walked in the middle too, hands still bound, flanked by 2 guards who looked like they'd enjoy an excuse to hurt her. She hadn't said a word since they started moving. Mara walked near the front, close to Ronan. He'd insisted on it after the attack. "Where I can see you," he'd said, like she was something valuable that might get lost. It felt strange, being watched over instead of ignored. "How much further?" Kira asked, coming up beside them. She had her rifle slung over one shoulder, eyes constantly scanning the tree line. "Another day," Ronan said. "Maybe less if we push through the night. We've got injured. They need rest." "They'll rest when we're safe." Ronan's tone left no room for argument. "Torin won't wait for us to get comfortable. He's regrouping right now, probably calling in favors from allied packs. We need to reach my territory before he can organize another attack." "You think he'll hit us again?" Mara asked. Ronan glanced at her. "I know he will. He can't afford not to. Every hour we walk free makes him look weaker." "So we're bait," Kira said flatly. "We're a target," Ronan corrected. "Different thing. Bait sits still. We keep moving." They walked in silence for a while. The sun was low, turning the snow orange and pink. Beautiful, if you ignored the cold trying to kill you. Mara's feet hurt. Her legs hurt. Everything hurt. But she didn't complain. Everyone else was carrying more, suffering more, bleeding more. She could handle some aching muscles. "You're limping," Ronan said. Mara blinked. "What?" "Your left leg. You've been favoring it for the last mile." "I'm fine." Ronan stopped walking. The whole pack stopped with him. He turned to face her. "Show me." "It's nothing." "Mara." His voice was gentle but firm. "Show me." She felt everyone's eyes on her. Heat crept up her neck. "I just twisted it a little. During the fight. It's not—" Ronan crouched and grabbed her ankle before she could finish. His hands were warm even through her boot. He pressed gently, and Mara hissed. "That's not a twist," Ronan said. "That's a sprain. Maybe worse." "I can walk. For now." He stood and looked at Kira. "Get the medical kit. We need to wrap this before it gets worse." "We don't have time," Mara protested. "You just said—" "I said we need to keep moving. I didn't say we'd be stupid about it." Ronan's expression softened. "You can't help anyone if you can't walk. Sit." Mara sat on a fallen log while Kira brought over supplies. Ronan unwrapped Mara's boot and peeled back her sock. Her ankle was swollen, purple bruising spreading across the skin. "That looks bad," Kira said. "It's been worse," Ronan muttered. He wrapped the ankle with practiced efficiency, tight enough to support it, but not so tight it cut off circulation. "You should have said something earlier." "Everyone else is hurt," Mara said. "I didn't want to slow us down." "You think hiding an injury helps?" Ronan tied off the bandage and looked up at her. "It doesn't. It just makes it worse. Out here, information keeps you alive, even if it's bad news." Mara looked away. "Sorry. Don't apologize. Just tell me next time." He stood and offered his hand. "Can you walk?" Mara took his hand and stood. The ankle hurt less now, the wrap giving it stability. "Yeah, I can walk." "Good." Ronan didn't let go of her hand. "But if it gets worse, you tell me immediately. Understood?" "Understood." He held her gaze for another moment, then released her hand and turned to the pack. "Let's move. We've got 2 hours of daylight left. Make them count." They kept walking. Mara tried not to limp, failed, but the wrap helped. She could keep up at least. Around her, the pack moved like a well-oiled machine. No one complained. No one slowed down. They just kept going, step after step, through terrain that would have killed most people. These were frontier wolves. The real kind. Not like Torin's pack, who talked about strength but ran at the first sign of real danger. Mara wondered what it felt like to be that capable, that certain. "You're doing fine," Kira said quietly, falling into step beside her. "In case you were wondering, I wasn't." "Liar," Kira smiled. "You've got that look, like you're waiting for someone to tell you to go home." Mara didn't answer. "For what it's worth," Kira continued, "I think you're tougher than you give yourself credit for. Most people would have collapsed an hour ago. You're still walking. Barely. Still counts. Kira adjusted her rifle strap. You saved our Alpha's life. That means something. To him. To all of us. I didn't do anything special, Mara said. I just opened a door. You gave everything you had when you had nothing to give, Kira said. That's the definition of special. Before Mara could respond, one of the scouts at the front called out, Movement ahead! The pack froze. Ronan was at the front in seconds. How many? Can't tell. Too much cover, but something's out there. Ronan's eyes went gold. Pack alpha power rolling off him in waves. Positions. Defensive formation. Wounded to the center. The pack moved instantly. Rifles came up. Wolves shifted, their forms blurring and reforming in seconds. Within 30 seconds, they'd gone from a marching column to a fighting force. Mara crouched behind a boulder, heart hammering. Her ankle throbbed. Stay down, Kira hissed, taking position next to her. Don't move unless I tell you to. What is it? Don't know yet. The forest ahead was silent, too silent. No birds, no wind, just that awful stillness that meant something was wrong. Then the trees moved. Not the branches. The actual trees, shifting and parting as something massive pushed through. Mara's breath caught. It wasn't Torin's pack. It was worse. A bear stepped into the clearing. Not a normal bear. A shifter bear. One of the mountain clans that lived in the high peaks and didn't come down unless they were starving or angry. This one was both. Its fur was matted, ribs showing. Its eyes were yellow and mad. And it wasn't alone. 4 more bears emerged from the trees, all massive, all hungry. Oh, hell, Kira breathed. Ronan stepped forward, still in human form. We don't want trouble. We're just passing through. The lead bear growled, a sound like rocks grinding together. We have wounded, Ronan tried again. We have nothing worth fighting over. The bear shifted, bones cracking, fur receding. A man stood where the bear had been, tall, scarred, naked, and unbothered by the cold. His voice was rough as gravel. You're in our territory. We're passing through, Ronan repeated. We'll be gone by morning. You brought wolves into bear country, the man said. That's a violation. We had no choice. We were attacked. We need to reach my territory. The bear shifter's eyes narrowed. You're the Northern Alpha. I am. Then you should know better. The shifter gestured to his companions. Bears and wolves don't mix. You want to cross our land, you pay the toll. What toll? The shifter's gaze swept over the pack, stopped on Dessa, then moved to Mara. Her, he said, pointing at Mara. The small one. Leave her. The rest of you can go. Mara's blood went cold. No, Ronan said immediately. Then you don't pass, the shifter said. Simple as that. We'll find another route. No other route for 50 miles. You go around, you add 3 days to your journey, in this cold with your wounded? The shifter smiled. It wasn't friendly. You'll lose half your pack before you reach safety. Ronan's hands clenched into fists. You're asking me to trade a life for passage. I'm asking you to make a choice, the shifter said. One life or many. Your call, Alpha. The clearing went silent. Mara could feel everyone looking at her, calculating, weighing her life against theirs. She thought about Torin, about being left to die, about being the thing people sacrifice to save themselves. Her chest felt tight. Don't, Ronan said, voice low and dangerous. Don't even think about it. The shifter shrugged. I'm not in a hurry, but the longer you stand here arguing, the colder it gets, and cold kills as sure as claws. Why her? Kira demanded. Why that specific person? She smells weak, the shifter said bluntly. Broken, like she won't fight back. Makes things easier. Mara felt those words like a punch. Weak, broken. That's what everyone saw when they looked at her, even strangers. She's under my protection, Ronan said, gold bleeding into his eyes now, power making the air heavy. Touch her, and I'll kill you. You can try. The shifter didn't look impressed. But we outnumber you, and bear shifters are stronger than wolves. You know this. Strength isn't everything. Out here it is. The shifter took a step forward. Last chance, Alpha. One life for safe passage, Or we fight, and you lose a lot more than one. Ronan looked at Mara, just for a second, and in that second she saw something in his eyes that made her throat tight. He was going to fight. For her. He was going to risk his entire pack, his wounded, his people, all to protect someone he'd known for less than 2 days. It was the stupidest thing she'd ever seen. It was also the most incredible. But Mara had spent her whole life being a burden. She wasn't going to let people die for her now. She stood up. Mara, Kira grabbed her arm. Let me go, Mara said quietly. Don't be insane. Let me go. Mara pulled free and stepped out from behind the boulder. Her ankle screamed, but she ignored it. She walked toward Ronan. He turned to her, eyes still burning gold. Get back. No. Mara, I swear. You can't fight them, Mara said, low enough that only he could hear. You'll lose people. Maybe die yourself. And for what? For me? She shook her head. I'm not worth it. Yes, you are, Ronan said fiercely. No, Mara's voice cracked. I'm not. You know I'm not. Everyone knows it. I'm weak and broken, and I slow you down. You said it yourself. Information keeps you alive. Well, here's information. You can't win this fight. Not without casualties you can't afford. I don't care. I do. Mara took a breath. Let me go with them. Get your pack to safety. That's what matters. Ronan grabbed her shoulders. I'm not leaving you. You have to. No. His grip tightened. I told you. You're under my protection. That's not conditional. It's not negotiable. Your pack now, and I don't abandon my pack. Mara's eyes burned. Even if it gets them killed? Especially then. They stared at each other. Ronan's eyes were still gold, still burning with that impossible, stubborn certainty. Mara had never had anyone look at her like that, like she mattered more than logic, more than survival, more than sense. It hurt. I won't let you die for me, she whispered. Then don't give me a reason to, Ronan said. Stay behind me. Let me handle this. He turned back to the bear shifter. You want to fight? Fine. But you're not touching her. The shifter sighed. Stupid wolves, always choosing pride over survival. He shifted back into bear form. Massive, terrifying. His companions did the same. Ronan's pack braced for impact. Then Dessa started laughing. Everyone turned to look at her. She was still tied up, still flanked by guards. But she was laughing like she'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. What's so funny? Kira demanded. All of this, Dessa gasped. You're going to die for her. For worthless, broken Mara, the girl no one wanted, the girl we threw away like garbage. She shook her head. And the Northern Alpha is going to get himself killed protecting her. It's perfect. Shut up, Ronan said. Why? It's true. Dessa's eyes glittered. You want to know the real joke? She's not even worth it. She never was. Her own mother didn't love her. Her own pack didn't want her. And now you're going to die proving that trash is treasure. She laughed again. Torin's going to love this. Mara felt something crack inside her chest. Every word was a knife. Every laugh was poison. Because Dessa was right. Mara wasn't worth dying for. She'd never been worth anything. That was the truth. The cold, hard, undeniable truth that had followed her all her life. She was weak. She was broken. She was nothing. And people were going to die because Ronan was too stubborn to see it. Mara looked at the bears, at Ronan's pack, at the wounded on their stretchers. She made a decision. Stop, she said. Ronan turned. Mara, I'll go with them. Her voice was steady now, clear. I'll go with the bears. Let your pack through. Absolutely not. It's not your choice, Mara said. She looked at the lead bear. I'll come willingly. You let them pass. No fighting, no dying. Deal? The bear shifter cocked its massive head, then nodded once. No! Ronan grabbed Mara's arm. I won't let you... Mara jerked free. You don't own me, Ronan. You don't get to decide what I'm worth. I do. And right now I'm worth 14 lives. Your pack's lives. She stepped back. That's the best trade I'll ever make. Mara, please, take care of them, Mara said. And when you get to the council, tell them what Torin did. Make sure it matters. She turned and walked toward the bears. Each step hurt. Not her ankle, her heart. But she kept walking. Behind her she heard Ronan shout her name. heard Kira yell for her to stop, heard the pack erupt into chaos. She didn't turn around. The lead bear shifted back to human form as she approached. Smart girl. Just keep your word, Mara said. Let them pass. We will. The shifter grabbed her arm. His grip was iron. You, though, you're coming with us. Mara didn't resist as they led her into the trees. She looked back once. Ronan was standing at the edge of the clearing, eyes blazing gold, entire body shaking with barely contained fury. He looked like he wanted to tear the world apart. Mara mouthed 2 words. I'm sorry. Then the trees swallowed her up and he was gone. The bears marched her through the forest in silence, deeper into the mountains, away from Ronan's pack, away from safety. Mara's ankle throbbed with every step, but she didn't complain. What would be the point? After an hour, they reached a cave, large, dark, smelling of old blood and animal musk. The lead shifter shoved her inside. Sit. Mara sat. The shifter crouched in front of her, studying her with those yellow eyes. You gave yourself up pretty easily. I didn't want anyone to die. Noble. He didn't sound impressed. Stupid, but noble. What are you going to do with me? The shifter smiled. That depends. How much is the Northern Alpha willing to pay to get you back? Mara's stomach dropped. This was about ransom? Everything's about something, girl. We don't actually want to eat you. You're too skinny anyway. He stood. But an alpha's mate? That's valuable. I'm not his mate. You think that matters? He was ready to fight 5 bears for you. That means you're valuable to him, which means you're valuable to us. Mara's hands clenched. He won't pay. I'm not worth... We'll see. The shifter turned to his companions. Watch her. Don't let her shift. Don't let her run. If she tries anything, break something non-essential. They nodded. The shifter walked out of the cave, leaving Mara with 4 massive bears and no way out. She pulled her knees to her chest and tried not to think about Ronan's face when she'd walked away. Tried not to think about how she'd just traded herself for people who might not even care she was gone. Tried not to think at all. But the thoughts came anyway. What if she'd made the wrong choice? What if Ronan could have won? What if she'd just given up for nothing? No, she thought fiercely. They were wounded, outnumbered. They would have died. But the doubt gnawed at her. Hours passed. The bears didn't talk to her, didn't feed her, just watched with those cold yellow eyes. Mara dozed fitfully, ankle aching, stomach empty. She woke to shouting. The lead bear was back and he wasn't alone. He dragged someone into the cave. A wolf, shifted, snarling and snapping. One of Ronan's pack. Mara recognized the gray fur. Kira. Found this one sneaking around our territory, the shifter said. Thought she could rescue you. He laughed. Wolves, always so predictable. Kira shifted back to human, blood on her face, hands tied. Mara, why did you come back? Mara demanded. You were supposed to get to safety. Ronan sent me, Kira gasped. Said to track you, said he's coming. The lead shifter's smile widened. Is he now? Even better. 2 hostages. We can name our price. He grabbed Kira and threw her next to Mara. The 2 women hit the cave floor hard. You're idiots, the shifter said. Both of you. Thinking friendship matters more than survival. Out here, that kind of thinking gets you killed. He walked out again. Mara looked at Kira. You shouldn't have come. Shut up, Kira said. Ronan was losing his mind. I've never seen him like that. He was ready to tear apart the whole mountain. For what? For me? Mara's voice cracked. I'm not worth it. He thinks you are, Kira said. And honestly, after what you did last night, saving us, burning everything you had, I'm starting to think he's right. Mara wanted to argue. Wanted to say Kira was wrong, that everyone was wrong, that she was exactly what her old pack said she was. But the words stuck in her throat. Because maybe, just maybe, they weren't completely right. Maybe she wasn't strong like them. Maybe she couldn't fight or hunt or shift properly. But she'd saved 15 lives. She'd chosen mercy over survival. She'd walked into danger to protect people she barely knew. That had to count for something, didn't it? Ronan's coming, Kira said again. And when he gets here, these bears are going to regret ever touching you. Mara wanted to believe her. But the cave was cold and dark, and the bears were everywhere. And Ronan was just one wolf, Even an alpha couldn't win every fight. Hours crawled by. Mara's ankle swelled worse, Kira's face bruised where the bears had hit her. They sat back to back, hands tied, waiting. Then they heard it. Howling, distant at first, then closer. Not one wolf, dozens. The bears in the cave went still, listening. The lead shifter came running in. "Get them up. We're moving." "What's happening?" one of the bears asked. "The northern alpha brought his whole damn pack," the shifter snarled, "plus reinforcements. We're outnumbered 3-1. He grabbed Mara and hauled her to her feet. "You're coming with us. Leverage." Where an explosion rocked the cave entrance. Rock and ice rained down, and through the dust and chaos, Ronan walked in. He was in human form, covered in blood, not his own. His eyes were pure gold. Power rolled off him in waves that made the air itself feel heavy. "Let them go," he said, voice calm, utterly lethal. The lead shifter laughed nervously. "Or what? You'll kill us? You're one wolf." "No," Ronan said. "I'm not." Wolves poured into the cave behind him. 30, 40, maybe more. All shifted, all snarling, all ready to tear the bears apart. The shifter's grip on Mara tightened. "You take one step and I snap her neck." Ronan smiled. It was the coldest thing Mara had ever seen. "You won't," Ronan said. "Why not?" "Because the second you do, I'll kill you so slowly you'll beg for death. And then I'll kill your family, your clan, everyone you've ever cared about." Ronan took a step forward. "I'm the Northern Alpha. I don't bluff. I don't negotiate. And I don't forget." The shifter's hands shook, just slightly. "Let her go," Ronan said. "Now." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the shifter's grip loosened. Mara stumbled forward. Ronan caught her, one arm around her waist, holding her steady. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Yeah," Mara whispered. "How did you—" Later, Ronan looked at the bears. "You have 10 seconds to leave my sight, starting now." The bears ran. All of them, scattered into the darkness like smoke. Ronan's wolves didn't chase them. They just watched, a wall of fur and teeth, making sure the bears kept running. When they were gone, Ronan turned to Mara. The gold faded from his eyes. He looked tired, relieved, angry. "Don't ever do that again," he said. "Do what?" "Trade yourself. Give up. Walk away." His hands were still shaking. "I thought I lost you." "You barely know me," Mara said. "Why does it matter?" "Because you're pack," Ronan said fiercely. "Because you saved my life. Because you're worth fighting for, even if you don't see it yet." He pulled her closer. "And because I don't leave my people behind, ever." Mara's throat felt tight. She wanted to say something, thank him, apologize, something. But Kira cut in. "Hate to interrupt, but we should move. Those bears might come back with friends." Ronan nodded. "Cut her loose. Let's go." They fled the cave together, Mara limping, Kira bleeding, Ronan's pack surrounding them like a living shield. As they emerged into the cold night air, Mara looked back at the cave one last time. She'd gone in there expecting to die. She'd come out surrounded by people who'd risked everything to save her. It didn't make sense. But for the first time in her life, Mara didn't care if it made sense. She just held on to Ronan's hand and let him lead her home, whatever that meant now. They reached Ronan's territory 2 days later, half frozen and exhausted but alive. Mara had expected something grand. A fortress, maybe, stone walls and guard towers like the stories told about powerful alphas. What she got instead was a valley tucked between 2 mountain ridges, protected from the worst winds, with a settlement that looked more like a small town than a pack lodge. Wooden buildings clustered around a central square, smoke rising from dozens of chimneys. Paths worn smooth between structures that had clearly been there for generations. People emerged as they walked in, men, women, children, all of them watching with curious eyes. No fear, no suspicion, just interest. "Home," Ronan said quietly, his hand still on Mara's elbow. He hadn't let go since the cave, like he was afraid she'd vanish if he stopped touching her. "It's bigger than I thought," Mara said. "We're a big pack, 243 at last count." Ronan guided her toward the largest building, a long hall with carved wooden doors and windows that glowed with firelight. "You'll have your own room, hot water, real food, rest." "I don't need special treatment." "Yes, you do," Ronan cut her off. You've been sleeping on frozen ground for 3 days with a sprained ankle and no medical attention. You're getting special treatment whether you like it or not. Mara wanted to argue, but honestly, she was too tired. The journey had been brutal. The bears hadn't followed, but the terrain had been punishment enough. Ice fields, rock slides, one river crossing that had nearly swept away 2 of the wounded. They'd lost supplies, burned through most of their emergency rations, and now everyone looked like walking corpses. Everyone except Ronan. He still moved like he could fight an army. Alpha constitution, Mara figured, or sheer stubborn will. The doors to the great hall opened and warmth flooded out. Mara nearly groaned. She hadn't been properly warm in what felt like weeks. Inside was organized chaos. People everywhere, cooking, talking, tending wounds, sharpening weapons. A whole community moving with purpose. At the far end, a raised platform held a long table and high-backed chairs. Pack leadership, probably. An older woman approached, gray hair in a braid, weathered face, eyes sharp as glass. She looked Ronan up and down, then smacked him on the arm. Hard. "Idiot," she said. "Running off to help a neighboring pack without backup, getting ambushed, nearly killed. What were you thinking?" "Good to see you too, Margot," Ronan said dryly. "Don't good to see you me. I'm your second. You're supposed to tell me when you're riding into danger." Margot turned her sharp gaze on Mara. "And who's this?" "Mara Voss," Ronan said. "She's saved my life, and 15 others. She's under my protection." Margot's expression shifted. Not softer exactly, just assessing. "The girl from the reports." "What reports?" Mara asked. "We sent scouts ahead," Ronan said. "They've been spreading word, making sure people know what happened, what you did." Mara's stomach twisted. "Why would you do that?" "Because when we go before the council, they're going to try to twist the story, make you look weak or crazy or whatever serves their purpose." Ronan's jaw tightened. "I'm not giving them that chance. By the time we arrive, everyone will know the truth." Margot nodded approval. "Smart. Torrin's already been sending his own people, spreading lies, saying the girl manipulated you, that she's using witchcraft or some nonsense." "Witchcraft," Mara repeated flatly. "Desperate men say desperate things." Margot gestured toward the back of the hall. "Come. You need food and rest. Both of you look like death." She led them through the crowd to a smaller room off the main hall. Warmer here, quieter. A fire crackled in the hearth. Food was already laid out on a table. Bread, cheese, dried meat, hot stew that smelled like heaven. "Eat," Margot ordered. "I'll have rooms prepared." She left, closing the door behind her. Mara stood awkwardly until Ronan pulled out a chair. "Sit." She sat. He pushed a bowl of stew toward her and took the chair across from her. They ate in silence for a while. The stew was thick with venison and root vegetables, seasoned with herbs that made Mara's eyes water. It tasted so good. She tried to eat slowly but failed. She was starving. Ronan watched her with something that might have been amusement. "When did you last eat a real meal?" Mara thought about it. "Before the storm. 4 days ago?" 4 days. Ronan shook his head. "You're going to make yourself sick eating that fast." "Don't care," Mara mumbled around a mouthful of bread. He smiled. Actually smiled. It changed his whole face, made him look younger. Less like an alpha and more like a person. "What?" Mara asked. "Nothing. Just, you're different than I expected." "Different how?" "Stronger. Braver." He leaned back in his chair. "I've met a lot of wolves in my life. Most of them talk about strength like it's the only thing that matters. But you? You showed me what real strength looks like." Mara looked down at her bowl. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Ronan said quietly. "You did what almost no one would do. You chose mercy when it would have been easier to close the door. You chose sacrifice when it would have been smarter to save yourself. Those aren't small things, Mara." She didn't know what to say to that. Ronan stood and walked to the window. Outside, night was falling, turning the snow blue-gray. "The council meets in 3 days, in Ironhold. Neutral territory." "What happens there?" "Torrin will present his case. He'll say I violated territorial agreements by taking you from his pack. He'll say I overstepped my authority. He'll try to make it look like I'm the aggressor." "And you?" "I'll tell them what really happened, what he did to you, the attack on my pack, The ransom attempt by the Bear Clan, though that's more complicated. Ronan turned to face her. And you'll testify. Mara's heart kicked. Me? You're the only one who can tell them what it was like. Being thrown out, left to die. They need to hear it from you. They won't believe me, Mara said. I'm nobody. Torin's a pack leader. His word against mine won't be enough on its own, Ronan agreed. That's why we have Dessa. Right. The enforcer. Mara had almost forgotten about her. She's being held here, Ronan continued, under guard. When the council convenes, she'll testify too. About the orders Torin gave, the attack on my pack. Everything. You think she'll cooperate? I think she values her life more than her loyalty. Ronan's expression hardened. And if she doesn't, we have other evidence. Witnesses, documents, scouts who saw Torin's pack organizing attacks. Mara absorbed that. You've been planning this since the moment you walked out of that cabin. Yes. Ronan crossed back to the table. Torin thinks he can bury this, make it go away. He's wrong. By the time the council is done, everyone will know what kind of leader he really is. There was something fierce in his voice, something protective and angry all at once. Why does it matter so much to you? Mara asked. You barely know me. Ronan was quiet for a long moment, then, because you remind me of someone. My sister. Mara blinked. You have a sister? Had. Ronan sat down heavily. She died 10 years ago. She was different, like you. Couldn't shift properly, struggled with pack life. Our father was alpha before me, and he... Ronan's jaw clenched. He thought she was weak, a liability. He didn't throw her out, but he might as well have. He ignored her, made her feel worthless. And one day she just walked into the winter, alone. We found her body 3 days later. Mara's throat felt tight. Ronan, I should have protected her, Ronan said. Should have stood up to our father. Should have made her see that she mattered. But I didn't. I was young and scared, and I let her believe she was nothing. He looked at Mara. I won't make that mistake again. Not with you. Not with anyone. They sat in silence. The fire crackled. Outside, wolves howled. Not in danger, just communication. Pack sounds. Home sounds. I'm sorry, Mara said finally. About your sister. So am I. Ronan stood. Get some rest. Tomorrow we prepare for the council. You'll need your strength. He left before Mara could respond. She sat alone in the warm room, staring at the fire, thinking about sisters and fathers and all the ways people failed each other. And she thought about Ronan, this powerful alpha who'd turned his grief into something fierce and protective, who'd decided that no one else would be left behind on his watch. It was a lot to carry. Mara wondered if he ever got tired of it. The door opened and Margot appeared. Your room's ready. Come. Mara followed her through the hall, up a set of stairs to a small room with a bed that looked impossibly soft, a window overlooking the valley, and a basin of steaming water. Bath first, Margot said, then sleep. I'll wake you for breakfast. Thank you, Mara said. Margot paused at the door. For what it's worth, I think you did a brave thing, saving them. Most people wouldn't have. I didn't have a choice, Mara said. Everyone has a choice, Margot said. You just made the right one. She left. Mara stripped off her filthy clothes and sank into the hot water. It hurt at first. Her skin was so cold the heat felt like burning, but slowly her muscles unclenched. The ache in her ankle faded to a dull throb. She washed away days of dirt and blood and fear. And when she finally climbed into bed, wrapped in clean blankets, she slept deeper than she had in years. She dreamed of storms, of wolves, of a cabin full of dying things that chose to live. And when she woke, sunlight was streaming through the window and someone was knocking on her door. Up, Kira's voice called. We've got work to do. Mara dressed quickly in clothes someone had left for her. Practical frontier wear, but clean and well made. Her ankle was still wrapped, but felt stronger. She found Kira waiting in the hall. The woman looked better too. The bruises on her face were fading to yellow-green. She grinned when she saw Mara. You clean up nice. Don't start, Mara said. Wasn't going to. Kira led her downstairs. Ronan wants you in the war room. We're going over strategy for the council meeting. The war room was exactly what it sounded like. A large chamber with a table covered in maps, reports, and what looked like battle plans. Ronan stood at the head, Margot to his right, Several other wolves Mara didn't recognize flanking them. Ronan looked up when they entered. Good. You're awake. What's happening? Mara asked. Change of plans, Ronan said grimly. Torin moved up the council meeting. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow? But you said 3 days? He's scared, Margot said. He knows we're building a case. He wants to get ahead of it. Can he do that? Mara asked. He's got allies on the council, one of the other wolves said, a lean man with scars across his throat, enough to call an emergency session. Which means we have less time to prepare, Ronan said. But it also means he's desperate, making mistakes. He looked at Mara. Are you ready? For what? To tell your story. In front of the council. In front of everyone. Mara's stomach clenched. I don't know what to say. The truth, Ronan said simply. Just tell them what happened, how they treated you, what Torin did. What if they don't believe me? They will. Ronan's voice was certain. Because you're not lying, because we have evidence, and because by the time you're done talking, they won't be able to ignore it. Margot slid a stack of papers across the table. These are depositions. Testimonies from people who saw what happened. Scouts who witnessed the attack. Medical reports on our wounded. She tapped the top page. This is ammunition. Use it. Mara looked at the papers. There were dozens of them, all meticulously documented. You've been busy, she said. We don't take chances, Margot said, especially not with something this important. Ronan circled the table to stand next to Mara. I need you to understand something. When we go before that council, they're going to try to break you. They'll question your story, call you a liar, say you're manipulating me or making things up for attention. His hand found her shoulder. Don't let them. You're stronger than they think, stronger than you think. Show them. Mara looked up at him, at the absolute certainty in his eyes. She wanted to believe him, wanted to think she could stand in front of a room full of powerful wolves and not fall apart. But she'd spent her whole life being told she was weak. Those voices were hard to silence. What if I freeze? She asked quietly. What if I can't do it? Then I'll be right there, Ronan said. Every second. You won't be alone. Kira stepped forward. None of us will let you fall. You saved our lives. Now we've got yours. The other wolves in the room nodded. Agreement, support, pack. Mara's throat felt tight. Okay, I'll do it. Good, Ronan said. Then let's get to work. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Ronan walked Mara through what to expect. The council chamber, the format, the likely questions. Margot drilled her on key points, making sure she could articulate clearly what had happened. Kira helped her practice staying calm under hostile questioning. It was exhausting. By evening, Mara's head was spinning with information, and her voice was hoarse from talking. Enough, Ronan finally said. We're done for today. Rest. Tomorrow's going to be long. The others filed out. Mara started to follow, but Ronan caught her arm. Wait. She turned. What? He looked like he was trying to find the right words. I know this is a lot. I know you didn't ask for any of it. But I want you to know, whatever happens tomorrow, you've already won. Won what? Your freedom, Ronan said. Your voice. The right to be seen as something other than weak. He let go of her arm. No matter what the council decides, that's something Torin can never take back. Mara didn't trust herself to speak. She just nodded. Ronan smiled. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we change everything. She went to her room and tried to rest. Failed. Her mind kept racing, running through everything she needed to say, every question they might ask, every way it could go wrong. Finally, she gave up and went to the window. Outside, the valley was quiet. Stars overhead, snow reflecting moonlight, everything peaceful. It wouldn't be peaceful tomorrow. Tomorrow would be fire. She was still standing there when someone knocked softly on her door. Come in, Mara said. Kira entered carrying a bottle and 2 cups. Thought you might need this. What is it? Something to take the edge off. Kira poured amber liquid into both cups and handed one to Mara. Frontier whiskey. Burns like hell, but it works. Mara sniffed it. Her eyes watered. This smells like poison. Tastes worse. Drink. Mara took a sip and immediately regretted it. Fire down her throat. She coughed. Kira laughed. Told you. Why are people trying to kill me before the council even starts? Mara gasped. Considerate preparation. If you can handle frontier whiskey, you can handle anything. Kira dropped into the chair by the window. You nervous? Terrified. Good. Means you care. Kira took a drink, didn't even flinch. For what it's worth, I think you're going to do great. How do you know? Because you've already survived the worst they could throw at you. Left to die in a storm. You lived. Kidnapped by bears. You lived. 3 days marching through frozen hell. Still here. Kira raised her cup. You're tougher than you look, Maravos. Mara clinked her cup against Kira's. You're right. They drank in comfortable silence. The whiskey burned less on the second sip. By the third, Mara almost didn't hate it. Can I ask you something? Mara said. Sure. Why does Ronan care so much? I mean, really. It can't just be about his sister. Kira was quiet for a moment. You know how most alphas rule? Force, fear, strength. Exactly. Ronan's different. He leads by, I don't know, conviction? He genuinely believes that packs should protect their weakest members. That strength means lifting people up, not crushing them. Kira swirled her drink. His father was the old kind of alpha, brutal, ruthless. When Ronan took over, he changed everything, made enemies doing it, but he didn't care. He had a vision of what a pack should be. And I fit that vision? You're proof it works, Kira said. You were thrown away by a pack that only valued physical strength, but you saved 15 lives through pure force of will. That's Ronan's whole philosophy in one person. He's not going to let that go. Mara absorbed that. No pressure then, Kira grinned. None at all. They finished the bottle. Kira left. Mara finally slept. And when dawn came, she woke to find the entire settlement mobilizing. Today was the council. Today was judgment. The journey to Ironhold took most of the morning. They traveled in force. Ronan, Margot, Kira, 20 other wolves as escort, and Mara, sitting in a wagon because her ankles still couldn't handle a full march. Dessa rode in a separate wagon, bound and guarded. Ironhold was exactly what it sounded like. A fortress carved into the side of a mountain, all iron and stone and grim functionality. Neutral ground. No pack claimed it. The council met here when disputes needed settling. Guards met them at the gates. Human forms but wolf eyes. State your business. Northern Alpha Ronan Kael, Ronan said. Here for the emergency council session. The guard consulted a list. You're expected. Weapons stay outside. 15 escorts maximum inside the hall. Agreed. They were led through iron gates into a courtyard, then into the fortress itself. Cold stone walls, torches burning in brackets, everything designed to intimidate. It worked. Mara's heart hammered as they walked through corridors that seemed designed to swallow sound. Finally, they reached a massive set of double doors. The council chamber. The guard opened the doors. Inside was a circular room with tiered seating rising up on all sides. At the bottom, a flat area for those being judged. At the top, 7 high-backed chairs where the council sat. The seats were already full. Hundreds of wolves from dozens of packs, all watching as Ronan's group entered. And at the far side, standing with his own escorts, was Torin. He looked confident, smug, like he'd already won. Mara's hands clenched. Easy, Ronan murmured. Let him think he's won. Makes the fall harder. They took their positions. Ronan in the center, Mara to his right, Margot to his left. The rest of his wolves fanned out behind them. Across the floor, Torin did the same. One of the council members stood, an elderly woman with white hair and a face like carved granite. This emergency session is called to order. Alpha Torin of the Eastern Ridge Pack has brought charges against Alpha Ronan Kael of the Northern Territories. The charges are as follows: violation of territorial sovereignty, poaching of pack members, and unlawful interference in internal pack discipline. Her voice echoed in the chamber. How does the accused respond? She asked. Ronan stepped forward. I deny all charges, and I bring countercharges against Alpha Torin, abandonment of a pack member, attempted murder, violation of the fundamental oaths that bind all packs. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Torin's smile didn't waver. Bold accusations. Can you prove them? Yes, Ronan said. I can. The councilwoman raised her hand. Then we will hear testimony. Alpha Torin, present your case. Torin stepped forward, all false dignity and wounded pride. Honored counsel, I come before you seeking justice. Mara Voss was a member of my pack. A troubled member, yes, but ours nonetheless. During the recent storm, we made the difficult decision to place her in separate shelter due to concerns about her stability and the safety of other pack members. Liar, Mara breathed. Ronan's hand touched her back. Steady. Alpha Kyle took it upon himself to remove her from our care, Torin continued, without permission, without notification. He violated every protocol regarding pack sovereignty, and when I attempted to recover her, peacefully, I might add, he responded with violence. 3 of my wolves died in that attack. More murmurs. Some angry, some sympathetic. Torin was good. Mara had to give him that. He sounded reasonable, aggrieved, like the victim. Furthermore, Torin said, I have reason to believe Mara Voss has been manipulating Alpha Kyle, using their chance encounter to gain protection and turn him against lawful pack leadership. She is unstable, dangerous, and— Enough, Ronan said. The word cut through the chamber like a blade. Torin stopped. I'm not finished. Yes, you are. Ronan's voice was calm, deadly. You've lied enough. Now it's our turn. The councilwoman looked between them. Alpha Kyle, you may present your case. Ronan gestured to Margot. She stepped forward with a stack of documents. These are medical reports from my pack, Ronan said, showing injuries consistent with a coordinated ambush, not a defensive action. These are scout reports documenting Torin's wolves organizing attacks on my territory. And these, he took another set of papers, are testimony from witnesses who saw exactly what happened the night of the storm. He handed the documents to a runner, who carried them to the council. Mara Voss was not placed in separate shelter, Ronan said. She was thrown out, denied access to food, warmth, and safety during a killing storm. She was left to die, not because she was dangerous or unstable, but because Torin decided she wasn't worth the resources to keep alive. That's not, Torin started. She saved my life, Ronan cut him off, and the lives of 14 other wolves. We were poisoned, ambushed, scattered in the worst storm in decades. We would have died if she hadn't opened her door. Despite having nothing, she gave us everything. Her food, her warmth, her shelter. She burned her own furniture to keep us alive. The crowd was silent now, listening. That's the person Torin says is dangerous, Ronan said. The person he threw away. The person he's trying to paint as a manipulator and a liar. He turned to look at Mara. I think the council should hear from her directly. Mara's heart stopped. This was it. The councilwoman nodded. Mara Voss, step forward. Mara's legs felt like water, but she stepped forward. 7 council members stared down at her. Hundreds of wolves watched from the seats. Torin glared from across the floor. Tell us what happened, the councilwoman said. In your own words. Mara took a breath, and she spoke. My name is Mara Voss. I was born into the Eastern Ridge Pack. I've lived there my whole life, 22 years. Her voice shook but held. I'm not like other wolves. My shifts are painful, incomplete. I can't hunt the way they can. Can't fight the way they can. For years, my pack tolerated me, barely. They made it clear I was a burden, dead weight. She saw Torin's jaw tighten. When the storm came, pack leader Torin gathered everyone into the main lodge, everyone except me. He told me I would shelter in the Brennan cabin, alone. Mara's hands clenched. Everyone knows the Brennan cabin. It's a death trap. Broken walls, no heat, barely standing. Sending me there wasn't about safety. It was about getting rid of me without having to kill me directly. She's lying, Torin said. We offered her shelter. Let her finish, the councilwoman said sharply. Mara continued. I had scraps for food, damp wood for fire, 1 blanket. The storm hit, and I thought I was going to die. I probably should have, but then wolves started scratching at my door, 15 of them, dying, frozen, starving. She looked at Ronan, drew strength from his steady gaze. I could have closed the door. Should have, maybe. I had barely enough for myself. But I couldn't let them die. So I let them in. All 15. I burned everything I had. fed them my food, kept them warm with my body heat, and by morning they were alive. The chamber was dead silent. One of them was Alpha Ronan Kael, Mara said. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew they were dying and I could help. So I did. That's the truth. That's what happened. She stopped. Her voice had held. She hadn't broken. The councilwoman leaned forward, and when Alpha Kael offered you protection, I was grateful, Mara said, because my pack didn't want me back. They made that clear. They threw me out once, and they'd do it again. Alpha Kael offered me a choice. Stay with people who saw me as disposable, or go with people who saw me as worth saving. I chose to live. You chose to betray your pack, Torin snarled. You're not my pack, Mara said, and her voice was steel now. Pack protects each other. You left me to die. That breaks every bond, every oath. You have no claim on me. You never did. The crowd erupted, some shouting agreement, some arguing. The councilwoman had to bang her gavel 3 times to restore order. We will hear from additional witnesses, she said. Bring forward Dessa of the Eastern Ridge Pack. Guards brought Dessa out. She looked smaller now, scared. Dessa, the councilwoman said, you were Alpha Torin's enforcer. You witnessed the events in question. Tell us what you saw. Dessa's eyes darted to Torin. He gave a tiny shake of his head. Ronan stepped forward. Before you answer, you should know that lying to this council is grounds for permanent exile. Or worse. Dessa's face went pale. Tell the truth, Ronan said quietly. It's your only chance. Dessa swallowed hard, then, it's true. All of it. Torin ordered Mara sent to the Brennan cabin. We all knew what that meant. He wanted her gone without having to kill her directly. When she survived and Alpha Kael took her, Torin saw it as a challenge. He organized the attack, sent us after them. I tried to tell him it was wrong, but he wouldn't listen. Torin's face went red. You traitorous— Silence, the councilwoman barked. She looked at the other council members. They conferred in low voices. Finally, she stood. We have heard enough, she said. The council finds that Alpha Torin of the Eastern Ridge Pack violated fundamental pack law by abandoning a member without cause. He acted with deliberate intent to cause harm. Furthermore, his attack on Alpha Kael's pack was unprovoked and unjustified. Torin opened his mouth to protest. The councilwoman's glare shut him down. Therefore, she continued, the council strips Torin of his position as Alpha, effective immediately. The Eastern Ridge Pack will hold new leadership trials within 30 days. Torin himself is barred from participation. The chamber exploded into noise. Torin stood frozen, stripped of everything, his power, his position, his pride. The councilwoman turned to Ronan. Alpha Kael, the council finds your actions justified. Mara Voss is recognized as a member of your pack with all rights and protections thereof. The charges against you are dismissed. Ronan nodded. Thank you, council. The councilwoman's expression softened slightly as she looked at Mara. Mara Voss, your courage in the face of cruelty reflects well on all packs. You are an example of what we should strive to be. The council recognizes you as a full member of the Northern Territories Pack and awards you the right to speak at any future council gathering should you choose. Mara's eyes went wide. That was an honor almost never given, especially not to someone like her. Thank you, she managed. The councilwoman banged her gavel one last time. This session is concluded. As people started to file out, Ronan turned to Mara. His smile was fierce and proud. You did it, he said. We did it, Mara corrected. No, Ronan shook his head. That was all you. You stood in front of the most powerful wolves in the territories and told them the truth. You didn't flinch, didn't break. You were incredible. Mara felt tears prick her eyes. Good tears this time. Kira whooped and pulled her into a hug. Told you! You're a damn force, Mara Voss! The other wolves crowded around, all smiles and congratulations. For the first time in her life, Mara felt like she belonged, like she was seen, like she mattered. Across the chamber, Torin was being escorted out by guards. He looked back once, pure hatred in his eyes. But he was powerless now, and Mara was free. The celebration back in Ronan's territory lasted 3 days. Mara wasn't used to celebration, wasn't used to people looking at her like she'd done something worth remembering. But everywhere she went in the settlement, wolves stopped to thank her, to shake her hand, to tell her she was brave. It felt surreal. She was standing in the great hall on the third night, nursing a cup of something warm and spiced, when Margot found her. "Hiding?" the older woman asked. "Observing," Mara corrected. "Liar." Margot leaned against the wall beside her. "You're uncomfortable with the attention." "I just opened a door," Mara said. "I don't understand why everyone's treating me like I did something extraordinary." "Because you did," Margot said. "Most people would have saved themselves. You saved 15 strangers. That matters to wolves. Loyalty, sacrifice. It's what pack is supposed to be about." She took a drink from her own cup. "Ronan's been trying to teach that for years. You proved it in one night." Mara watched Ronan across the hall. He was talking with a group of younger wolves, gesturing with his hands, that rare smile on his face. He looked happy, relaxed in a way she hadn't seen before. "He's different here," Mara said. "This is home," Margot said. "He can be himself, not just the alpha. Just Ronan." She glanced at Mara. "You're part of that now, part of home." "I still don't know what I'm supposed to do," Mara admitted. "I can't hunt, can't fight. Everyone here has a role and I— "We'll find yours," Margot cut her off. "Give it time. You've been here less than a week. Rome wasn't built in a day." "What's Rome?" Margot smiled. "Old world reference. Means good things take time." She pushed off the wall. "Stop worrying so much. You've earned your place. Now enjoy it." She walked away, leaving Mara alone with her thoughts. Earned her place. Had she? Or had she just gotten lucky? Happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right person? "You're overthinking again," Kira said, appearing with 2 plates of food. "I can see it from across the room. Here, eat." Mara took the plate. Roasted meat, root vegetables, fresh bread. The settlement had good hunters. "I'm not overthinking," Mara said. "You absolutely are." Kira bit into a piece of meat. "You saved the Alpha's life. The council publicly recognized you. Torin lost everything. You won. Why can't you just accept that?" "Because I don't feel like I won," Mara said. "I feel like I survived. That's different." "Is it?" Kira asked. "Out here, surviving is winning. Everything else is just details." Mara didn't have an answer for that. They ate in comfortable silence, watching the celebration continue around them. Musicians had started playing, drums and strings, frontier music that made people tap their feet. Some wolves were dancing. Others were arm wrestling in the corner. Normal pack things. Mara had never been part of normal. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Always." "What happens now? With my old pack? Without Torin?" Kira's expression darkened. "They'll hold leadership trials. Someone will challenge for Alpha. Probably Dessa if she's smart. Maybe someone else. Whoever wins will have a mess to clean up." "Do you think they'll change? Stop throwing people out?" "Maybe. The council's watching them now. They screw up again, they'll lose their charter completely. Get disbanded and absorbed into other packs." Kira shrugged. "But honestly, I don't care what happens to them. They made their choices. They can live with the consequences." Mara thought about her mother, about the people she'd grown up with. She should feel something, anger maybe, or vindication, but all she felt was tired. "I don't miss them," she said quietly. "Is that wrong?" "No," Kira said. "It's honest. They treated you like garbage. You don't owe them anything, not even your thoughts." Ronan was making his way toward them through the crowd. People kept stopping him, clapping him on the shoulder, pulling him into brief conversations. He handled it with patience and grace. "Your Alpha's popular," Mara observed. "Our Alpha," Kira corrected. "And yeah, people respect him. He's earned it." She grinned. "Plus he's easy on the eyes. That helps." Mara felt heat creep up her neck. "I hadn't noticed." "Liar," Kira said again, laughing. Ronan finally reached them. "What's funny?" "Nothing," Mara said quickly. "Mara's terrible poker face," Kira said at the same time. Ronan looked between them, amused. "Should I be worried?" "Always," Kira said. She stood and stretched. "I'm going to get more food. You two have fun." She disappeared into the crowd before Mara could protest. Ronan took her spot, settling against the wall. "You doing okay?" "Yeah," Mara said. "Just Processing. It's a lot, Ronan agreed. Going from outcast to council recognized in less than a week. Anyone would need time to adjust. How do you do it? Mara asked. Carry all of this? The pack, the responsibility, the expectations? Ronan was quiet for a moment. Honestly, some days I don't know. Some days it feels like too much. But then I remember why I'm doing it. My sister. The people who came before. The ones who got thrown away because they weren't strong enough. He looked at her. You remind me why it matters. Why I can't give up. That's a lot of pressure, Mara said. You can handle it. He smiled. You've handled everything else. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the celebration. Someone had convinced Margot to dance, and she was surprisingly good at it, spinning and laughing like she was half her age. I have something for you, Ronan said suddenly. Wait here. He disappeared before Mara could ask questions. She waited, confused and curious. A few minutes later, he returned carrying something wrapped in cloth. What is it? Mara asked. Open it. She unwrapped the cloth carefully. Inside was a knife, beautifully made, the blade etched with patterns that looked like wolves running. The handle was wrapped in leather, fitted perfectly for her hand. It's frontier custom, Ronan said. When someone joins the pack officially, they get a blade. Symbolizes trust, protection, family. He met her eyes. Your pack now, Mara. Really and truly. This makes it official. Mara's throat felt tight. She ran her finger along the flat of the blade, careful not to touch the edge. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay, Ronan said quietly. Say you'll let us be your family. Mara looked up at him, at this powerful alpha who'd risked everything to save her, who'd stood between her and every threat, who looked at her like she was worth protecting. I'll stay, she whispered. Ronan's smile was brighter than the sun. He pulled her into a hug, unexpected and warm and solid. Mara froze for a second, then relaxed into it. When was the last time someone had hugged her? She couldn't remember. Thank you, Ronan said against her hair, for saving us, for being brave, for everything. I should be thanking you, Mara said. We'll call it even. He pulled back, hands on her shoulders. Tomorrow we start training. Real training. I'm going to teach you to fight, to defend yourself, to shift properly without the pain. You think you can fix me? Mara asked. I think you were never broken, Ronan said. Just taught wrong. We'll figure it out together. The celebration continued around them, but Mara barely noticed. She was too focused on the knife in her hands, the weight of it, the promise it represented. She had a home. She had a pack. She had a future. For the first time in her life, those words felt real. The next morning, Ronan made good on his promise. Mara found herself in a training yard surrounded by other wolves who were practicing various combat techniques. Some were sparring. Others were running drills. Everyone moved with purpose. We'll start simple, Ronan said. He was in training clothes, loose pants, no shirt, showing the scars that marked his torso like a map of old battles. Basic defensive moves. How to fall without hurting yourself. How to block. Then we'll work up to actual fighting. Mara felt self-conscious in her own training clothes. Everyone else looked like they belonged here. She felt like a child playing dress-up. Stop that, Ronan said. Stop what? Comparing yourself to them. They've been training since they could walk. You're starting late, but that doesn't mean you can't catch up. He held out his hand. Come on, I'll show you. He taught her how to stand, how to move her weight, how to see attacks coming and respond before they landed. It was harder than it looked. Her body didn't want to cooperate, kept defaulting to old habits, flinching instead of blocking. Again, Ronan said patiently when she messed up for the 10th time. I'm terrible at this, Mara said. You're learning. That's different. He demonstrated the move again. Watch my feet. See how I shift my weight before I turn? That's what gives you power. Mara tried again. This time she got it almost right. Better, Ronan said. Again. They trained for 2 hours. By the end, Mara was sweating and her muscles ached, but she'd managed to block 3 of Ronan's attacks in a row. Progress, he said, grinning. I barely touched you. You blocked me. 3 times. 2 weeks ago, you couldn't do that. He tossed her a water skin. Rest. We'll go again tomorrow. Mara collapsed on a bench, gulping water. Around her, other wolves continued training. She watched them, trying to learn from observation. Kira appeared, also sweaty from her own training. How'd it go? I didn't die, Mara said. That's the spirit. Kira sat next to her. Ronan's a good teacher, tough, but fair. He'll get you where you need to be. What if I can't get there, Martul? Mara asked. What if I'm just not made for this? Then we'll find something else you're good at, Kira said. Not everyone's a fighter. Some people are healers, some are scouts. Some are administrators. Pack needs all kinds. What are you good at? Killing things, Kira said cheerfully, and tracking, and making people laugh. I'm a woman of many talents. Despite everything, Mara smiled. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the training continue. The sun was warm despite the cold air. Spring was coming, slowly but surely. The worst of winter was over. Can I ask you something personal? Mara said. Depends on how personal. You and Ronan, you're close. Were you ever together? Kira laughed. No, we're friends, family, but not like that. He's too serious for me. I like my men with a sense of humor. She stretched. Why? You interested? No, Mara said too quickly. Kira's grin was wicked. Liar. Third time today. You're getting predictable. I'm not. We barely know each other. You saved his life. He saved yours. You stood together in front of the council. Pretty sure that counts as knowing each other. Kira bumped her shoulder. It's okay to like him. He's a good man. Best I've ever known. It doesn't matter, Mara said. He's an alpha. I'm me. So? Kira asked. You think alphas don't fall for regular wolves? Happens all the time. Power doesn't make you immune to feelings. Mara didn't know what to say to that. Just think about it, Kira said. She stood and stretched. I'm going to go eat everything in the kitchens. You coming? In a minute. Kira left. Mara sat alone thinking about Ronan, about the way he looked at her, about the knife he'd given her, about the promise of family. She was still thinking about it when Ronan came back, shirt on now, looking less like a warrior and more like a leader. Walk with me? He asked. Mara stood. Where? Somewhere quiet. I want to show you something. They left the training yard and walked through the settlement. People waved as they passed. Children ran by, playing some game that involved a lot of shrieking and laughter. Normal life. Ronan led her up a hill behind the main buildings. At the top was a single tree, massive and old, branches spreading wide, and beyond it, a view of the entire valley. This is where I come to think, Ronan said, when everything gets too loud. The view was breathtaking. Mountains in every direction, snow-capped peaks glowing in the afternoon sun. The settlement below looked small and peaceful from up here. It's beautiful, Mara said. My sister loved this spot, Ronan said quietly. She used to sit up here for hours, drawing, writing, just existing. He touched the tree trunk. After she died, I came up here and promised her I'd do better, be better, make sure no one else ever felt like she did. You've kept that promise, Mara said. Have I? Ronan looked at her. Sometimes I wonder. I save one person and miss 10 others. I change one pack's mind and 3 more dig in deeper. It feels like fighting the tide. But you keep fighting, Mara said. Because what else is there, Ronan said. Giving up? Accepting that some people are disposable? I can't do that. I won't. Mara stepped closer to him. Your sister would be proud of you. Ronan's eyes were bright. I hope so. They stood in silence, looking out at the valley. The sun was starting to set, painting everything gold and orange. I brought you up here for a reason, Ronan said finally. I have a proposal. Mara's heart jumped. What kind of proposal? The council recognized you, gave you speaking rights at future gatherings. That's rare. Unprecedented for someone so new. Ronan turned to face her fully. I want you to use that. I want you to speak for the wolves who can't speak for themselves. The ones like you. The ones who get thrown away. I'm not a leader, Mara said. I don't know how... You stood in front of the most powerful wolves in the territories and told them the truth, Ronan said. You didn't flinch. Didn't break. That's leadership, Mara. Real leadership. Not the kind that comes from strength or fear, the kind that comes from conviction. What are you asking me to do? Help me change things, Ronan said. Not just in my pack, everywhere. Make sure what happened to you never happens again. Make sure every wolf knows they have value, even if they can't fight or hunt or shift perfectly. His hands found hers. I can't do it alone. I need someone who understands. Someone who's lived it. Mara's mind was racing. This was huge. This was everything. I don't know if I can, she said honestly. I think you can, Ronan said. I think you're exactly who we need. He squeezed her hands. You don't have to decide now. Think about it. But know that I believe in you, completely. Mara looked up at him, at those gold eyes that saw her so clearly, that never looked away. Okay, she said. I'll think about it. Ronan smiled. That's all I ask. They walked back down the hill as the sun set, and Mara thought about what it would mean to fight for others the way Ronan had fought for her. It was terrifying. It was also the most important thing she could imagine. 3 weeks later, Mara stood in front of the Northern Territories pack and gave her first official speech. Her hands shook, her voice cracked, but she talked about what it felt like to be invisible, to be considered worthless, to be thrown away by the people who were supposed to protect you, and she talked about what it meant to be saved, to be seen, to be valued. When she finished, the hall was silent. Then someone started clapping, then another, then everyone. Ronan stood at the back, arms crossed, smiling like he'd won the lottery. Afterward, people came up to her, thanked her, shared their own stories of feeling less than, of being told they weren't enough. Mara listened to all of them, made sure they knew she heard them. This was her role, her purpose. She was the voice for the voiceless, and she was just getting started. Winter turned to spring, the snow melted. Green pushed through the frozen ground, life returned to the valley. Mara trained every day with Ronan, got stronger, faster. Her shifts were still painful, but less so. She'd never be a great fighter, but she could defend herself now. That was enough. She also started traveling to other packs, speaking at gatherings, sharing her story. Some packs listened, others didn't. But slowly, word spread. The girl who'd been left to die had become someone who mattered. And with Ronan's support, she was changing minds. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, packs that refused to hear her, leaders who called her weak or delusional, threats from wolves who didn't like what she represented. But she kept going, because now she knew the truth. Strength wasn't about teeth and claws. It was about choosing mercy when cruelty would be easier. It was about standing up when everyone expected you to fall down. It was about believing you had value even when the whole world said you didn't. That was the kind of strength that changed things. That was the kind of strength that mattered. 6 months after the council hearing, Mara stood on the hill above Ronan's settlement, looking out at the valley. The tree's branches were full of leaves now, rustling in the warm breeze. Ronan appeared beside her. Hiding again? Observing, Mara said. Still a liar. He leaned against the tree. You did good today. That pack from the Western Mountains, they're going to change their policies because of you. We'll see, Mara said. Talk is easy, action is harder. True, but they listened. That's the first step. Mara looked at him, really looked. At the man who'd saved her life by letting her save his, who'd given her a home, a purpose, a future she'd never imagined. Thank you, she said. For what? For seeing me, Mara said, when no one else did. Ronan's expression softened. I should be thanking you. You showed me what I'd been missing, what real strength looks like. He stepped closer. You changed my life, Maravos. You changed mine first, Mara said. They stood close enough to touch, close enough to feel each other's warmth. The air between them felt heavy with things unsaid. Mara, Ronan said quietly, there's something I need to tell you. What? He stopped, started again. These past 6 months, working with you, watching you grow into this role, it's been... He ran a hand through his hair, suddenly looking uncertain. I care about you. More than I should. More than is probably smart. Mara's heart hammered. Ronan, you don't have to say anything, he said quickly. I know I'm your alpha. I know there's a power imbalance. I would never pressure you or expect. I care about you too, Mara interrupted. Ronan stopped mid-sentence. What? I care about you, Mara repeated. Have for a while now. I just didn't think. You're you, and I'm the bravest person I've ever met, Ronan said. The strongest. The most incredible. He closed the distance between them. The kiss was gentle, tentative, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious. When they pulled back, Mara was smiling. That was long overdue, Ronan finished. I was going to say nice. Nice, Ronan laughed. I'll take it. They sat under the tree, watching the sun set over the valley. Mara leaned against Ronan's shoulder, feeling more at peace than she ever had. What happens now? She asked. Now we keep fighting, Ronan said. Keep changing minds. Keep making sure no one else gets left behind. Together? Together, Ronan confirmed. He kissed the top of her head. Always. Mara thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago. Broken. Invisible. Left to die in the cold. She'd survived the storm. She'd survived everything. And she'd become someone who mattered. Someone who made a difference. Someone who proved that strength came in forms people didn't always recognize. The girl left to freeze had become a force that couldn't be ignored. And she was just getting started. Below them, the settlement glowed with lights. Home, pack, family. All the things Mara had never thought she'd have. All the things she'd fought for and earned. I love this view, she said quietly. Me too, Ronan said. But he wasn't looking at the valley. He was looking at her. And in his eyes, Mara saw everything she'd ever wanted. Acceptance, respect, love. She'd walked through fire to get here. She'd faced down bears and councils and her own worst fears. And she'd won. Not because she was the strongest or the fastest or the most powerful, but because she'd chosen to care when caring would have been easier to abandon. Because she'd chosen mercy when mercy looked like weakness. Because she'd chosen to see value in others and in herself when everyone said there was none. That was her strength. That was her power. And nothing, not storms, not councils, not cruel pacts or harsh frontiers, could ever take that away. The sun set fully, stars appearing overhead. Mara and Ronan sat together under the old tree, planning their next move, their next fight, their next victory. The girl who'd been nothing had become everything, and the world would never be the same.